Hey y'all, we have launched our very own merch on the Letters 2 Media merch store. We have a bunch of good looking t-shirts and hoodies. If you want your own Haddonfield Horror merch, click on the link in the description.
It's a boy!
Welcome back to the Haddonfield Horrors podcast, where we review horror movies and horror franchises. I'm Mark,
I'm Tawan.
I'm Maria.
and today we're talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, released in 1989, directed by Stephen Hopkins, the story by John Skipp, Greg Spector, and Leslie Bowen. This is the end of what I like to consider the Dream trilogy. But is it a good ending? We'll find out. Maria, can you give the people the plot summary?
The fifth installment of the popular franchise focuses on Alice, a survivor of the fourth, who believes Freddy Krueger has been eliminated for good. She optimistically hopes to start a life with fellow survivor Dan. The nightmare begins soon enough, though, and Alice learns she's pregnant. When her friends start dying, Alice suspects that Freddy is using the fetus within her as a weapon. Can she fight the demon while protecting her unborn child?
So, Dream Child, that was a movie. That was an experience to be had. Yay. Tuan, you were texting me earlier while you were watching it. What are your thoughts on this movie overall? Was it exciting?
Um, no, it was not exciting. I was not fucking with this movie.
I
Like
feel
I
like
was
Maria
watching
felt
it,
the same way.
and as I was watching it, I was kind of like, I see the kind of vision or what they were trying to do, but like I didn't like that vision, and he should have did something else or just like stopped because it's like I get I feel like a lot of franchises like do that type of thing where like newborn life or something like that like helps bring back like the evil, or like the evil is like using the life of a newborn to like bring itself back, something like in that vein. I feel like a lot of stories have done that, but like we just brought Freddy back in like so many different ways now that like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, we got to this point, and I wasn't really. I really wasn't feeling it. Like I watched the whole thing. Like the only good part about it, to my opinion, honestly, were the kills. With all three of them, they were all pretty good in this movie, which I will give them that. But besides that, like everything else, like the story wise, was kind of like, eh. And granted, like they tried to bring back some of the lore that we learned and Dream Warriors, like about Freddy's mom and stuff. They tried to bring like that like lore element of that back, but besides that, it was pretty underwhelming in terms of everything else. Like Freddy's quips in this one were just like so.
They were very cringy.
They were very cringy. Like I was kind of over it at a certain point with, I'm like, okay, bro, we get it, you're funny, you're trying to be funny, like we get it. They were not like hitting the way they were in, say, like Dream Warriors or something. Like they were just adding them in because they were like, oh, people like Freddy to be funny, so let's just make him hilarious. But he wasn't hilarious. It was kind of annoying.
Maria, what about you? Did you have a pleasant experience with this movie?
I mean, it was really boring. I Not that I wasn't really expecting the whole baby thing. I feel like it was kind of weird. Like I was just like, "Oh, okay." It was just like underwhelming, I guess, that whole plot. Um regarding, I guess, Freddy in this movie, not that, I mean, his jokes didn't really like annoy me the way they did to Juan, but they were just like they were like I guess, like you know, they weren't. I just remember one line where he calls his mom a bitch, and I thought that was funny. But like other than that, I was everything Freddie was just kind of there. Everybody was just kind of there. Nobody really like
Mm-hmm.
stood out this movie. It was just like I wanted to change it, like halfway, like not even like in the beginning. I wanted to change it, but I was like, damn, like I can't because I have to watch it, for the podcast. But I was thinking, I'm like, if I really had the choice, like I would never watch this. Like I would watch 5 minutes and then like I would have changed it like a long time ago and just watch like something else for the fifth time. Um like it was like I don't know, it wasn't even just okay. It was just like meh, like a nah, I guess. Um it's definitely gone downhill from the Dream trilogy. It's definitely, yeah, it's like it's just a straight slope down from like Dream Warriors, to be honest.
Dream Warriors. I think for me, Dream Warriors is like the height of like good for this franchise. I mean, after Dream Warriors, it just like
It's definitely feeling like it.
yes, because Dream Warriors is actually one of my favorite ones, and I watch Dream Masters and Dream Child because it's the Dream trilogy. Like it's the one like these three movies, and then the first one are the only four to have like a straight like narrative through line. So like I watched the four of those because it's like you have to. You can skip two, which spoiler alert, I always skip two because it's not needed at all. But like Dream Masters wasn't like amazing, but it had like some good stuff there. Dream Child, I mean, I think the biggest thing Dream Child did, like the biggest like offensive thing was made me focus on Alice for the entire movie. At least like she wasn't shoved into our face until like 30 or 40 minutes into the last one. But now it's all about Alice. And she still has no personality and she's still sucking life out of everything. And it just was, it was just not good. And I'm just like the concept of like, oh, babies in the womb dream. I was like, that's a great concept. It's just not ever like never gone through. And then also with that, so doesn't she have Kristen's powers? Why wasn't she like pulling people into her dreams?
I thought she was.
Was
And that's how
she? I
Freddy,
must.
yeah, and that's how Freddy managed to kill um everybody. I guess like
Dan?
technically it wasn't like, I guess it was the baby doing it, like the Freddy was using, which I don't
Yeah.
get that whole
She,
plot either. Like if Freddy somehow whatever, his mom came back to life. If he, in a way, if he brought her back to spiritually, whatever the fuck, like give birth to him, and then he came back,
mm-hmm.
but he was hiding in Alice. Like, how the fuck does that make any sense? I don't know what the connection is. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's all complicated. It's all dumb. But guys, are there any scenes that stood out, good or just bad? I don't think you can be indifferent. Maria, any scenes?
The beginning when he's like a baby, that scene, it was like it was creepy, not in like I feel like they weren't really trying to be, but like the baby first of all looked really weird. Like it looked really like I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Um it was just weird. Like that whole scene I feel like was weird. I feel like we didn't have to watch all of that. Um
Yeah.
And not to mention, why are the guys in uniform so neat and their uniforms are so white and so like neat, but like the jail looks like awful? And why are they keeping inmates in this huge space together? Like, if these people are supposed to be like what, like criminals, doesn't
Mental
that like,
patients. I thought they
yeah,
were. I thought they were like mental patients or whatever. But still, you're still right.
yeah, like why would you keep them all together? Like that kind of doesn't make any sense. And then you really want to tell me that these two guys who were supposed to be counting them didn't notice the nun in all white in the middle of the whole thing? Like I don't know, that scene was just weird. Um, what other scene? Oh, I did like the scene with, oh, crap, what's his name? The guy who's like who's into comics. Um, I forgot what
Yeah.
his name was, but I liked his scenes. I feel like they were very creative. Like he's really into like drawing, so like Freddie will like pull him in as a drawing. Though his
Mm,
scene where he like turns into his OC character, his OC, like his character, and like
yeah.
he has this whole uniform on and he has the guns, and it's like what the fuck is happening? And then Freddy turns into whatever villain is from that universe, and I was like, I guess. And
Super
it was,
Freddy.
yeah, it was so stupid. I mean, it was kind of funny because it's like Freddy's playing in on like you could, I guess you could tell at this point Freddy's just like having fun with it. Like, he's just like whatever. But it
Literally.
was really cringy to watch. Like, I was like, okay, I guess. But yeah, those are, I think, the scenes that stood out to me.
What about you, Tuan? Anything stood out to you?
Um, trying to think. I think I did have one that did stand out. I'm trying to remember it.
For me, that fucking staircase scene is like annoying to watch.
Yes, that's what it was. That was what I was trying to remember. That's what it was. I did not. That whole sequence was very was like I like it in idea because those type of like puzzles when you like see those in pictures and stuff, those are like cool to look at, but it was very confusing to like watch, and I kind of want to know how they put that together for the time, to be honest. Because it like
Oh, that was all like practical. Like he was upside down. Um,
that's
I
cool.
I just watched the Never Sleep Again, the Nightmare on Elm Street documentary that does all the movies. And when it got to like part five, they were like, yeah, he was like, yeah, I was upside down, and the blood was rushing to my head, and I was getting dizzy. Like so, that was they were actually upside down.
That's actually cool. Now, see the way they shot it was cool, but like the way it came off in a movie was very confusing. As it was going on, and so yeah, that was a scene I would say I like in like a, oh, that's kind of cool, like a set
You like in a
design.
technical aspect.
Yeah, the technical aspect, but in the movie and like watching it, it was kind of disorienting, but it was still cool to see. Um, I don't like. I would say as far as like actual like things that happen visually in this movie, I don't think I have much that I'll say I liked and or disliked besides like the kills, because like I think most of my problems with this one lie with like the story and everything.
For me, a scene that I don't like is that scene with that little boy when he's like, "Ah, I want to learn from you." Do you guys remember
Okay,
that
that was
scene?
random as hell.
Right? I was like, to be honest, I was like, wish I could see Maria's face when she see this scene because I could only imagine what she's saying. That little creepy ass little kid. What did you think about that?
What the
I want to learn
little?
from you. Yeah, when he was like, I want to
Yeah,
learn
The
from you.
sun.
honestly, at that point, I was just done with this movie, and I was like, this. I don't know why I'm not surprised. it was just so
Oh my
cringy. Like
god.
he went from like the nun was like, only you can help her, and then you hear him basically turn into like a little Freddy. Like what? First of all, whatever. Freddy was just feeding him souls. How the fuck does that make him into like the child murderer slash like whatever the fuck he was?
Shouldn't
Like
he like inherited their like dream powers or whatever? I thought that would have made more sense.
yeah.
Because wait, didn't the souls that Freddy had, didn't they kill him in the last movie? So why would you want to be
Yes.
like feeding? Anyway, Maria, of the three kills that we saw, which one was your favorite?
Um, I think the last one, the guy, I forgot what his name was. I like it's.
Mark,
I'm like, damn
wasn't
it,
it Mark?
Mark.
Mark.
It's Mark.
Yeah, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
liked his kill. Um, I don't know. I feel like it was bloody and it was interesting, and I liked the effect that they did, where he was like half cartoon thing going on. Especially because I saw the movie on Shutter. So they didn't have like Dan's actual death scene, and then Greta's death scene. I feel like was also. I feel like it was kind of short. Um, so I think Mark's death scene had the most impact on me because it was like the longest, and also I spent longer time with Mark while he was trying to help out Alice. Um, yeah, so I think I'm sorry I liked his the most. I feel like it was also like really creative. It was interesting to watch. It's probably the one I paid the most attention to be honest. Um,
The actor didn't even know he was killed off until like the next day, because he didn't have to be there for like any of the animation stuff. So they were like filming a scene, and he was like, "What are you guys filming?" He's like, "Oh, we're filming your character's like death reaction." He's like, "Oh, okay, cool, okay, fine." But what about you, Tuan? Of the three kills, which one stood out to you?
Yeah, and before I do get to my kill, I did just remember another scene that I didn't like for the previous question, and it was also because it was just once again technical aspect. It was nice, but um, looking at it, I was like, "What the fuck?" Was when like Freddy was like coming out of Alice's body.
Oh yeah.
That shit looked so nasty. It was cool, but that shit looked nasty. So I actually kind of did like that. But as far as the kills go, Mark's kill was cool. I did like that, and I did like how they went with like the whole. They went with the whole like comic book look for it and like making it desaturated and stuff. But I personally like Dan's kill the most because that whole like transformation sequence of him basically turning into like the Terminator or something, that was crazy. Like how it like started off and how over time like it gradually got worse on him. That looked really crazy like watching it. So I think that was my favorite kill. But I feel like out of all three, you can't really go wrong with any of them. They were all pretty well done, and the sequences and everything that happened leading up to them, I would say that was probably the best part of this movie.
For me, I do like Dan's kill when when you're able to see the uncut version, and you're able to see like the tubes and the wiring from the motorcycle like inject inside his body. Like it's so much more effective. The girl's kill, the whole diving board coming to life, the stop motion, and not didn't do it for me. And I mean, yeah, Mark's kill is cool because we spend more time with him. So it's we only get three kills, and like not even Freddy's kill is good. So yeah, Tawan, Tawan,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on Amanda Kruger?
Um, she was there. Like, she was definitely a character in the movie, but besides what we like got of like the base story of Amanda and like basically finding out, which I guess only the most interesting thing maybe about Amanda's like character is that they made like a fake like gravestone and stuff for her because she committed suicide, and that was interesting because I'm like I know that's like frowned upon in like religion and stuff. So like that in a sense that like in theory kind of makes sense. Like they would basically hide that and not really like showcase it. They would just give like the gravestone and everything for it. So like in that type of like theory, that's like interesting. But everything else like we really didn't get anything of Amanda to the end. Like Amanda was like our what's the word I'm looking for? Not Deus Ex Machina. She was like the ah
MacGuffin.
there we go. That's all Amanda was. Amanda was just like the MacGuffin in this movie. We just needed Amanda to get it done, and it's like the quicker they find Amanda, the quicker all of this would have been over. So that's all we were waiting for, like throughout this movie, was to just get Amanda. And once they did that, they were able to get what they had to do to get rid of Freddy this time around. So useful, but was just there as a MacGuffin because it wasn't nothing else to really take out Freddy this time around.
What about you, Maria? Any thoughts on Amanda Kruger?
I mean, I agree with what Tawan said. Like, she was just like, I mean, like you see like the first scene happening, and like, I mean, I was confused as to what the fuck was was going on, and then yeah, because I was like, I mean, I knew who she was, but like, I don't know, like this the scene in general was just weird, and then you see and then you see her, yeah, like at the end. But I mean, I thought it was weird because it was like, Freddie purposely wasn't trying to like, he had her hidden for a reason. That's what Alice said. She was like, "Oh, like we have to find her. We have to find Amanda because Freddie is scared of her." Which, I mean, what I found weird about that was that like, I mean, Amanda still technically couldn't do anything unless Alice pulled him out, and unless Jacob, I forgot whatever the fuck he did. So it's like, you know, so it's like technically Amanda still technically, just couldn't really do anything unless with the help of other people. So I didn't really understand um that whole situation going on. I thought honestly seeing her and seeing like the past, I thought she was gonna play like a bigger role. Like I thought we were gonna be like learning more about Freddy's past instead of focusing so much on Alice. Um thank God she was a lot more useful now than she was in Warriors, you know? So I guess there's that. I actually did like the scene though, like at the end when she like I guess absorbs little weird looking baby Freddy, and then he like tries to come out of her, and then she's like trying to go through the gate, and she's like closing the doors as he's like destroying them one by one until finally the last door is made out of steel. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Other than that, I mean, yeah, she was just kind of like there to like to move the plot along, I guess.
What are your thoughts on Dan?
I mean, when you guys said that he was gonna play a bigger part in this movie than the last one, I was expecting to see more of him, but he was like barely there. I mean,
Yeah,
like
see,
all
by
of
that I meant like by that I meant like his sperm plays a big part in this movie,
okay, but
not
that still
Dan's per
doesn't
se.
count. Well, I was expecting more of Dan. I was not expecting just Dan's, child,
Spawn.
his spawn. Yes. So I mean, he was just kind of there. I mean, I don't know what the fuck. I don't get this whole theme of like their parents being so overbearing, like Dan's parents and also Greta's, because I feel like it didn't do anything to the movie. Which is something that I noticed from like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies is like all the parents suck. Like they all fucking suck. I think the only parent that was actually good, I think it was the first one I saw that was actually good, was Alice's dad, but that was only, what, after his son's death and after he, after all these things happened, like now you're I mean good for him, I guess, but
And
you
it's
know.
crazy that like all the parents suck, but they all burned this man alive for their kids just to treat their kids like trash.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's
That's true.
weird. Um No, but I mean, yeah, I didn't get that whole thing with his parents. I feel like it was unnecessary. Like in the beginning with them, being very strict on him and talking to him about his future because of Alice and this and that, and then like they come back when they're trying to take the baby, which was like what the oh well I mean let's I'll talk about that later, but other than that, I mean the only thing useful that he did in the whole movie was have a child with Alice, which is what basically started everything. Um, so I mean, he was just there, I guess.
Tuan, what about you? Thoughts on Dan?
Yeah, he was a little bit just he basically made a cameo in this movie because he got taken off so early on that there wasn't much of like, well, I won't say there wasn't much of payoff because I mean his character had to be in universe for Alice to have a baby. Well, not technically, but to go in continuity, they basically had them like happy couple at the end of the last one. Like he was there for like that reason as you guys mentioned, but besides that, like Dan didn't have much to add to this movie, which not his fault. He just got killed off early, so he was once again another character who was just brought back from the sequel so that we could kill him off, and that was kind of the only really purpose that he served in this one, was to um, get Alice pregnant and die.
Well, since you're already on the roll, Tuan, tell us about your thoughts on Jacob, the true MacGuffin of this movie.
Oh yeah, Jacob. It was weird because at first, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they? Wasn't it kind of like he was just like a weird kid at the hospital? That was it, right? Like, cause wasn't Alice
Yeah,
seeing
we
him
kept
at
seeing
some?
like visions of him.
Yeah, and I think the I caught on to it like I think like the second time I saw him. I'm like, why am I keep seeing this kid? I'm like, is this her child? Like, and it wasn't even like I was serious about it. I'm like, I feel like I was just like, is this her kid or something? Like future? Like I don't know. Like at this point, like they're just doing anything. So I kind of caught on to it. Then when it actually came out, like in the movie, that this is like her kid, I'm like, okay, so that's what we're doing. And I don't know, like I don't know if the kid was necessary because like you just said he was like the true MacGuffin because he used the powers Freddy gave him. Like it was very confusing, like trying to like think of like why does Jacob have these like Freddy powers. Like I guess like Freddy's feeding him souls or whatnot in Alice's womb, but it really doesn't make much sense. Which I need to stop saying it doesn't make sense because I mean, at this point, like they're just doing whatever they want. The whole concept doesn't make sense. But I think I, I I don't think it really works. I guess you could say, especially when you get to that last like 20 minutes, and then Jacob starts like taunting Freddy, and then slightly starts to look like him and stuff. I don't know. It just came off as very weird, and like I get it. Like the name of the movie is The Dream Child, so like we kind of needed that to like go with like the naming of the movie itself. But besides that, it was pretty underwhelming to see.
Maria, any thoughts on Jacob?
Honestly, I kind of knew it was her kid as soon as she was like, Jacob. Wow, I've always liked that name, and I'm like, yep, that's her fucking kid. Like, I knew it. um, yeah, I mean, I just don't understand that whole plot. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how he's like a fetus in her, in her belly, yet he's what, 6? Like he's a full grown child in her visions, I guess, and his dreams. Which I didn't know that babies dreamed, like I didn't know that.
Me either, but it kind of makes sense because, like, what else are they supposed to do there?
Take my nutrients, I don't know. and and I don't know. I just don't understand that whole plot. Like I don't get how Freddy feeding him souls was like making him into a mini Freddy. I don't get how like I don't get how that was supposed to make him evil if he's taking souls of people that weren't evil in the first place. Um I don't understand how Freddy was going to take him under his wing if he's still a cuz he's still technically a baby, and he's not gonna grow up and to be like an adult until like way later. But I mean, not just that, but I mean, I'm assuming he's planning on killing Alice sooner or later. So
Hmm.
what's he gonna do with Jacob? What's he gonna be? Just like a ghost, like a spirit? I don't get it. Um, and I don't know. There's a lot of stuff missing from here. I I don't know what Jacob did to also defeat Freddy. Is it like the souls that Freddy was feeding him? But on top of that, Freddy only fed him 2 souls. Like, what are these 2 souls gonna do? I don't know. I don't know.
That's true.
Right? Like he just killed, I guess, 3 people, but still, like Freddy's killed a bunch of people, and he is I don't know. I don't know. Like just that whole plot just wasn't making any sense to me. I thought it was gonna go in a different direction than what it went into, and then it kind of just fell flat for me. Um,
Mm.
I mean, in the beginning, I knew who he. I don't. I mean, in the beginning, I knew who he was, but what I didn't get was why Jacob was looking kind of like sickly. Oh, I mean, I guess unless Freddy was trying to make him look like him, which is like why? Like Freddy doesn't look like that because he's evil. He looks like that because he was burned to death in his past life. But whatever, I guess.
That's true.
um, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I was just kind of like iffy about Jacob. I feel like a lot of like he played such an important role, but I feel like a lot of things weren't explained properly, and they just like wrote him off as like, well, whatever. Uh, I thought that. I mean, I thought it was kind of sad though that the parents, Dan's parents, I feel like they only wanted Jacob because they wanted a boy to basically uh
I'll replace their son.
yeah, to live the life that Dan was supposed to live without thinking
Yeah.
about Alice, which I thought was like awful. Um, and the ending scene was cute, where they have the baby and the dad, and they're all together, and it's all fun and games. Um, but yeah. Also,
What are
wait.
your
I'm sorry, but like, if okay, so if Freddy was going into Jacob's dreams, but like, does that mean that like how do Jacob's dreams and Alice's dreams connect? Like, how was Jacob pulling Alice into this dreamscape while she was awake? And like, I mean, if she
I
absorbed the
think
powers,
I think they're trying to tell us that Jacob shares her powers because he's in the womb, but it's never explained.
that's lame.
Yep. Well, speaking of Alice, Maria, what are your thoughts on her?
I mean, honestly, they made her seem so crazy in the movie, um, especially in the beginning. I mean, good for her for trying to fight back. But like, okay, so like in the beginning when she was in the doctor's office and she started kind of talking all crazy, like I mean, as the doctor, first of all, I mean, I wouldn't have called the parents. Like, that makes no fucking sense. That broke a lot of like HIPAA laws. But I mean, I would have been concerned because this mom, I mean, she's only been pregnant like a couple weeks. I'm pretty sure, or maybe a month, like a couple weeks at this point, because she's like not showing at all, and like she's talking all crazy. Like, I don't know. I would have been concerned too. Don't know why Alice, who's already gone through this, was like so open about it. Like, I feel like she could have taken care of that so in a different way. But I mean, I mean, yeah, I feel like in this movie she didn't really have much of a personality. I feel like the acting was better though. Like, I feel like I there was an improvement in the acting. Um,
Mm.
but I also feel like she was just kind of like blah, like very bland as well in this movie. She was just kind of like there. I don't understand how Freddy was hiding inside her. Like, I did not get that at all. I don't understand. Um, but and that scene where like she kind of like you see Freddy, I guess, like, because her face changes and he tries to like she tries to pull him out. I don't know. It was weird. Um, but yeah, I mean, Alice was just there. She was just going through the motions. Uh, I mean, that I feel like that scene where she like pushes Freddy into that whole like den of criminals or whatever they were. I feel like that's like the most I've seen of like actual final girl things to do. Um, but other than that, she was just kind of very like bland for me. I mean, it's definitely an upgrade than the last movie, but also not by much.
Tuan.
And this is for Alice, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think my thing with Alice, like, I would say I guess I like her a bit more in this one than I did in Dream Master, because I feel like in Dream Master she was just really passive, and she was just given like the abilities to like do what she had to do, and that one by like past characters and such. But like I feel like she worked a bit more in this one since the storyline like started and ended like revolving around her. But where I think I had like a problem with like Alice in this one is that they still made her like pretty like passive kind of, like she was kind of not like while she was working towards the goal of trying to like find Amanda Kruger's like body and everything and like free her and all that stuff, like everything else was sort of she just got pulled into things. or um she either got like pulled into things, or like things were just happening around her, as opposed to like her like being more involved. Now she was like involved in like certain parts, and like trying, and like especially when it came to like saving people. Like she saved Mark the first time when he got pulled in by Freddy into his drawing, which was actually one thing I will say smart of her is like she like drew herself on the paper so that it pulled her inside of it. That was actually like a smart move when Mark got like pulled in by Freddy, or when Yvonne got wrapped into Freddy's stuff, and like she was able to like help her out. But besides like some of those like type of things, it was kind of just stuff was like happening around her, and then much of it wasn't like involving her as much as you would think it would, with her being like the main character. um I do think it was wrong, like Maria mentioned, for the doctors to call the parents to try to take the kid from her. Like, if anything, they I don't know, they could have brought that up. They could have brought that up to her in some type of way. Which, I mean, we know she's not crazy, but you're about to have a child, high stress, all that type of shit, and you're telling us that the dream man is chasing you, or some shit like that. Like, it's not making sense. So, like, in theory, I get why they would want to doctor want to get someone in contact to like check up on her, but the parents of the child, well, I don't think that was the right move. Aside from all of that, definitely feel like Alice was, a bit better in this one than she was in Dream Master, but like she just doesn't really give that like final girl like type of feel, and I feel like they could honestly had not even brought Alice back and just made her like a whole new character, and this story still would have played out the same way. It wouldn't have had like any different like type of feeling for like the character. I think
What are you guys' thoughts on Freddy?
he talked too much.
Yeah, nothing really good either.
Yeah, like some of the little quips here and there, they're like it got a little chuckle, but then like another one came, and then there was another one, another one. I'm like, all right, bro, like we get it. Like it didn't have to be like just straight jokes like 24/7 with Freddy, which like we like that about Freddy, that he like tosses those in, but that's like keyword tosses them in. It's not like the whole like personality with them, I guess you could say.
What about you, Maria?
I mean, yeah, I mean, just like the one line made me laugh when his mom was like, like I'm gonna do something, and he was just like, "We'll see, bitch." I was like, okay. Uh, but other than that, I mean, like I feel like we barely saw him in the movie, and then we saw him like towards the end when the whole like Jacob thing turned out. I still have no idea what the fuck he was planning to do with this child, and like how the fuck he was hiding in Alice. I don't know. Um, but I mean, his one liners were like they weren't bad, but they weren't great. It just seemed like they're very like stale, I guess. Like I feel like if I was watching this movie for the first time, I probably would have laughed. But I mean, not like for the first time, but for like the first time without watching any of the other movies, I might have laughed. But because I guess at this point I've already had enough of Freddy. Like he's just not funny. He was funny in like Warriors for like a little bit. He was kind of funny in the last movie too, but then now it's just kind of like, oh well, I'm kind of over it, I guess. Um,
Oh, well, you're gonna hate him the next movie then.
I see.
He just sounded. She sounded so defeated just now.
Yeah.
Um, Also, I wanted to bring this up. I don't know if this isn't really related, I guess, to the movie at all. But like, how the fuck do like so like the parents, like the parents killed this guy, burned him, whatever, like buried him in the house. First of all, like how the fuck? What? But whatever, and like and kept his arm as a souvenir, and like their kids born like who weren't even aware of that years later start talking about a man in their dreams who's called Freddy Krueger, has a fucking hand sharp thing, was burned, and like you want to tell them that they're fucking crazy? Like how the fuck does that make any sense? Like you're not alarmed that your child is talking about some guy that you
Right?
killed years ago? Like that's not
A guy,
alarming
but
at
they
all.
had never met.
Yeah, or were ever aware of, or like
Haven't seen a photo of, so how would they know who
yeah.
was chasing them in their dream?
Yeah, and a lot of these parents
Yeah,
were such
these are
assholes.
these are the same asshole parents who set this man on fire to protect their kids, but now they don't give a fuck about the kids.
Yeah,
That's the
like
biggest plot hole in this whole franchise.
yeah, because when you said that like before, like I started thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, like as a parent, if I killed someone, like years later, and my kids started talking about it, I would have been extremely alarmed. Like, how the fuck do you know? You know what I mean? Like, where did you get that information from? Who's snitching? Like, you know what I mean?
This
I'm
should be cause
dead.
for concern.
Yeah, like you should be very concerned, and especially after kids start dying in the same group of parents. Like, there's no way that you forget about that shit years later, as if nothing
Right?
happened.
It's the exact same group. Like the fact of the coincidence that they're talking about someone that you killed earlier. The same people who killed this man, your kids are dying. Are you not putting two and two together?
Exactly, and it's also like fuck. What was I gonna say? Um, Damn, I forgot. But
My
yeah,
bad.
like, it was just weird. It was fine. But it's like you're not the least bit alarmed. Oh yeah, and their kids are dying, and I feel like it hasn't even been that long. Like those kids were teenagers. Like I'm assuming they were probably like the oldest 5 years old. It's only been 10 years. Like, and you forgot about the man that you. I mean, yeah, I mean he definitely like deserved it. Which I mean, not that I'm promoting killing people, but but it's like,
Well, but
but
also wait, no, because these kids are younger than Nancy. Nancy was like what in her mid 20s when she was killed in part three. All these kids are like so there's like a 5 year difference between them and Nancy, and but still, like y'all should fucking know what's happening.
yeah, like I don't understand.
Yeah, and these movies aren't explained. They're stupid. They're dumb. Tuan, can you give us the behind the scenes info?
That I can. So, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Child, had a budget of $8 million and it brought in a box office of 22.1 million. The film is the highest grossing slasher that was released in 1989, but it is currently the second lowest grossing Nightmare on Elm Street film. The film editing on the film was challenging due to the demands made by the MPAA in order to reduce the on screen violence, blood, and gore. The most altered sequences were those of for Dan and Greta, which were edited down several times before the film could be theatrically released with the R rating of the USA. The themes of motherhood and abortion came from a new mother at New Line, according to executive producer Sarah Reicher. I was a new mother, and she sent. I'm gonna read that part over. The themes of motherhood and abortion came from a new mother at New Line, and according to executive producer Sarah Reicher, she says that she was a new mother, and she remembers stressing during the creation of the script. The poster for this movie was released before they'd even started filming, The director only had 8 weeks to finish the film, 4 weeks to shoot, and 4 weeks to edit. Oh man. The comic book kid Mark initially had his head decapitated in his kill scene, and this also would be the last Nightmare movie of the 80s. Some critics' reactions: the film currently sits at a Rotten Tomato score of 31%. The New York Times wrote that the film doesn't pretend to be anything more than it is, a genre film that won't totally insult your intelligence or your eyes. Variety called it a poorly constructed special effects showcase with highly variable acting, but praised the special effects. I would do the same. The Chicago Tribune praised the direction of director Stephen Hopkins, stating that using a style heavily indebted to music videos, lots of fast cutting, odd angles, and gratuitous camera movements, Hopkins keep the energy. Um, Hopkins Hopkins keeps the energy level up. The Washington Post ranked it below the first and third films, saying the plot is too confusing.
He kept the energy level up. I think Maria disagrees because I too was bored as shit. What energy level?
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about.
But forget them. Maria, Twan, do we cash or pass? A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child, Maria.
I'll pass. I'll probably not watch this again. um, I mean, I guess it's definitely better than the second movie, but I think out of all the movies I've seen, this is probably like, I mean, not like all the movies, but after like the whole franchise, besides that weird second movie, I feel like this one is probably at the bottom. It's not good. I was definitely bored. It was a lot of stuff and a lot of supernatural stuff going on that I was just not understanding. I have no idea where they pulled that out from, and yeah, I think I was just more confused. And nothing really stood out from the movie besides that weird little demon baby going on. But other than that, we'll probably not watch this again.
Twan.
I think I'm going to cash on this movie. Let me stop.
I was about to say,
Uh,
like, you know what?
you,
Oh, I pass on this. I pass on this. I'm not watching this again, man. This wasn't. It wasn't that interesting. I probably will like look up the death scenes again from this movie just to like check them out because they were good. But besides that, yeah, I don't see myself coming back to this one. Even if I was doing like a binge of this like series, probably would skip this one to be honest. Maybe just watch the kill count, get the little plot summary out the way.
For me, it's also a pass. But unlike you two, I do watch this one over a lot in my watch back because I watch the whole trilogy, and well, part one, part three, part four, and five. I watched those together because they the only time that this franchise has like one connected story through movies. But this movie is boring. This is usually about the time I start to like go to the bathroom or cook dinner, have it play in the background. Doesn't even stay in the background for that long. This movie is bad. Having Alice as the featured character and having a baby and it's bad. I don't want to get into it. It's a pass for me. But join us next week as we talk about what the hell is this called? As we talk about the final nightmare. Well, actually no, it's called Freddy's Dead, a final nightmare because with A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child is the last time we're going to have a Nightmare on Elm Street movie title until the remake. So we leave the 80s and we leave A Nightmare on Elm Street behind. And welcome to Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. Goodbye, everyone. The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is a Letters to Media production.
Should we do an intro?